I'm Frick.
I'm Frack.
And we are with Natasha Graziano. So excited! So excited! Okay.
I love that freaking Frack. I mean, that's the coolest thing ever. Like, come on. When you told me about it, I was like, yeah, I'm coming on the freaking Frack show.
We don't have our pajamas on.
Yeah, so,
No.
although we want to take it to like a full-on pajama party. Like we want to take it to a full-on pajama because I think that's like one of our things that we talk about is, you know, we dig into designing genius, but we talk about relationships because everything's about a relationship. And one of the things that's been on a topic for us right lately is the importance of girlfriends.
Yes.
Like really, really girlfriends. Now we're Italian.
Yes.
And so, you know, in my family, there was always a matriarch, right? That woman in the family that really was like the glue.
Yes.
I came stateside when I was 11. And what I realized from the American culture right away is that tight-knit girlfriendness wasn't common. Really wasn't common. And we get it all the time that people say, well, you can't be friends and business partners. I'm like, no. We're business partners and we're really good friends.
Yeah.
So tell me about you, especially since you've had this huge, like, went from, you know, like just to famous, like overnight. Tell me about girlfriends. Tell me about your relationship with women. Tell me about like the women in your life and your heritage. Tell me the role women have played.
So interesting. I really love this topic because I was literally just thinking about this and speaking about it with my mum the other day. I've also just moved and, you know, I'm later on in my life moving, so I wasn't like 11 years old. And I was like, she's like, you're going to miss the UK. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to miss you, my family, but there are absolutely no friends I'm leaving behind. All my friends are business associates and they're people I work with. Like I would count myself close with my EA and a couple of my team members who I tell my secrets to.
Sure.
I do business with, or business partners that I work with. Those are my friends. And so I'm all for female empowerment 100%, but I have a lot of dudes as well who are my friends. You know, I get on with people and I love people. But here's the thing for me. I always say this. So if you want to be my friend, you are at the back of my queue because my connection to the divine spirituality is here first, my health. Behind that, after all of my daily rituals, is my son. And after my son is my family and my business and then my friends. So if you do business with me, you're going to jump the queue. So that's how I see friendship.
And you're breaking the mold, right? Because I'm sure you've heard people say, don't do business with friends, don't whatever. So are you following just instinct?
100%. I believe that the people that I roll with are the people I want to see succeed, are the people that we want to succeed together. We're the people who we want to do things together because I trust them. Wouldn't you rather do business like you two?
But we
with
say
a
that all
friend.
the time. I'm saying because she knows me personally, she's a stronger business partner. She knows what's going on in my personal life. And because we're aligned with the same goals business-wise, she's a stronger friend. We're shooting for the same star.
Oh, 100%.
Right? And so we're constantly being asked that question. I'm like, listen, the strongest business partner is the person that you have the strongest friendship with, right? And so we break the mold all the time, but I love seeing, you know, how approachable you are and how friendly you are and how, you know, just like even with me, how helpful you've been. And so you're the woman that other women need to see because the media paints women, especially powerful women, so negatively. And I'm like, none of my friends act that way. None of my friends are like Real House of whatever. I'm like, that's not how women need to see other women because we need each other to succeed.
Oh, we do.
You know?
We have to put each other's crowns on. You know, the first thing I thought today when I saw you was, oh my God, yes, my gorgeous Italian queen who I was connected with all this time ago. And obviously the divine, the universe, God, whatever you want to say, has brought us back together. So I was like, this is a moment for us to put each other's crowns on. And the more I succeed, people actually say to me, which is why I think I keep my feet on the ground because of this one thing. They say the more that you get famous or successful, you help more people. Like I care, right, about people.
Yep. Well, and it's all about that collaboration over competition. So you're in partnership with a lot of people. Collaborate. It's how you guys met. You know, it's how we met. And we've all exponentially grown in the last few years. Whereas when we see people trying to say, okay, if I'm going to step in, she has to go down, and vice versa, we saw, like on Clubhouse and different platforms, those people got knocked out really quickly. While the people that came together, you see all these interesting projects, innovations, things happening because they embrace that collaboration.
You know, you're so right. I love that. Collaboration over competition. You can see it from a competitive mindset, and you can continue in that way and think that the world is limited. Bullshit. It's limitless. Every time I see a billionaire, that doesn't mean I can't then go and be a billionairess because of them doing it. Are you kidding? There are so many trillions in this world and gazillions. I don't know what comes after trillion, but like it's a big number. Like there's so much space for people to make money. There's so much space for more female speakers, more female empowered women who are out there doing their thing. There's more space for more men to do their thing. It doesn't matter because somebody else has done it. You know what I think? Whenever I see somebody who's successful, I look at them and I think, God bless you, because thank God you're doing it, because it makes me realize I can do it. You've shown me the pathway, and it's just a sign saying, hey, your time is coming. Like I always know I'm one step closer. Collaboration is everything. You have to collaborate with like-minded individuals, and then you'll get there faster.
And I think that that's when people really start to understand how energy works and how frequency works, is that when I see, like every time I see you do something, like my heart gets full and happy. I'm like, go girl, right? Because that light inspires other light. And when you bring two lights together, it gets brighter. It just gets brighter.
100%. It's like why I want to do so much with you, because I'm like, she's got all the areas I don't, like all the things that I can then bring to my audience and vice versa, perhaps.
Her on the billboard, Amelia behind the scenes. Right? I was just like, I'm the geeky girl, so I'll be back here and I'll be really happy about you being on the billboard.
Oh my God, no, but you've achieved so much. And so for me, it's like, wow, this is so awesome to collaborate. We cannot do everything on our own.
Oh no.
We want to cross-pollinate audiences. If you want to grow your audience, you're listening now and you want to grow your audience, you want to get out there in the world, the quickest way to do it is to collaborate. Choose 5 people today that you can go and collaborate with. It's how I grew. I began and I went, who can I collaborate with to grow my name? I went and collaborated with Jim Quick, I collaborated with Dave Meltzer, which is just the very start of my journey, and now I speak on stage alongside Mark Cuban, French Montana, Grant Cardone, the biggest speakers in the world. But first I started with people and I collaborated. We shared each other's audiences, and from there it put me onto the next platform. Collaboration is everything. The more value you give to somebody, the more you will get back, period.
Well, we've seen you be laser focused.
Yes.
And so, because we've seen, it's almost like you could look at your Instagram account, listen to you, and know kind of, okay, I see where she's going. So based on that, what are you focused on? What's like the number one thing you're focused on this year?
This year I have personal goals. Like I have just moved countries, so that was the first goal of the year.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're so glad you're here.
I'm American.
Sorry, Canada. We needed her.
America. Oh my God. So yeah, that was one of my big goals, and I've just achieved that earlier than I thought, which is really awesome. But you have no idea the struggle we went through to make that happen. Behind the scenes, people don't see anything. I was a mom. I was a single mom to make stuff happen. There was a lot of stuff, logistics. My goals that I focus on day to day is how can I reach 1 billion people in my lifetime, and let's pull that forwards. That's what my personal purpose is. What's yours? What's yours? What are they? Yours might be 10 million people, yours might be 50,000 people. I decide every day. Show me how I can reach 1 billion people and more. Show me through people, events, and places. And every day I work on that. So I say to my team, you guys need to do this because I cannot do it all on my own. So I'm buying your time so you can multiply what I can do to get me on more stages, to get me on bigger podcasts, to get me onto bigger shows, so that I can reach 1 billion people. So that's my main aim every day.
I love that. I love that. And I love the focusedness and the clarity, because I think the more as a leader you can be clear with others, the more that they then can step up, right? I think that when we go into companies, what we hear is when we ask somebody what is their main responsibility, or what is that benchmark they're going after, they don't know.
No.
And so I think that part of about being a good leader is to be clear, right? That clarity.
The first thing on anything, when you want to achieve your goals faster, when you want to attract a lover into your life, when you want to attract better health into your life, when you want to be around more successful people, the very first thing you do in any one of these fields is get clarity, as you said, on your vision. Number 2, you remove the blockages. So if you want to streamline focus and say, there's the end goal, I can see the end of the race, where I need to get to. And by the way, once you get to the end of the race, honey, you're going to move the goalpost anyway. Like You're just going to keep moving.
I'm a perfect example.
Yes, no, you are.
Like, the sooner do I do one, I sell the business. I'm like, okay, let's start another business.
I remember this with you.
Yeah, people are like, aren't you going to retire? I'm like, I love what I do.
And there'll be a next after designing genius. There will be an X. Like it's, you know what I mean? So I then see the end goal and that remove the blockages. So anything that is in my way, and quite frankly, any shit people that are in my way, I just bypass. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's a fake. Oh, she's that. You think I have time for a little voice? Sweetie, I'm doing this for billions of people, not for one. Let's move. So I keep going. And I am unapologetic as fuck about who I am. I own it. I do not care. I beeline what I want, and it works because I'm authentic. Yeah,
that's the Italian.
I'm authentic to who I am, and you have to be. Yep. If you want to succeed, you have to be unapologetic as F about who you are and own it and own it and own it, and don't let anything, including your inner critic, stop you from getting to where you want to go.
And that inner critic, I think, is what stops so many people. You know, we talk about strain and recovery, right? Because we talk about building capacity. And the only way to build capacity is by moving those resistance. And so much of resistance lives in people's heads.
Yes.
Literally lives in our heads. And it's something that we are taught and then we feed. And so as a behaviorist, what I love to teach people from the get-go is that an emotion, any emotion, only has a life of 90 seconds. 90 seconds, unless you feed it again.
Is that science?
Science.
Gosh, that's amazing.
90 seconds.
Any emotion has a lifeline of 90 seconds.
And so if you...
Unless you hold on to it.
You have to feed it.
So go on.
You have to feed it. So that means if I'm feeling sad, right? So I feel sadness, and then I'm like, today's just going to be a really bad day. I just fed it. You know, nothing ever works out for me. I fed it, right? And so what happens is you feed the emotion. So you can just as easily starve it and feed something else. And so this is what people don't understand when they talk about emotional intelligence. The emotion only has 90-second capacity unless you feed it.
Wow.
That's why people repeat. If you listen to people, they repeat and they repeat and repeat. So if somebody asks you something more than once, it's because they didn't get the answer they want. And they learn that outward noise by the inward noise of constantly feeding what their thought is. But if the thought doesn't serve you, don't feed it.
Gosh, that's amazing. You know, that's very true. Adding on to that, so in my recent book, Be It Till You Become It.
Buy the book, buy the book, buy the
book. So in here, we talk about this exact thing. It's neuroscience and ancient wisdom. And inside of it, what's really interesting, where you're going with this exact thing, we talk about the power of thoughts and that you are allowing your thoughts to rent space in your mind. And why on earth would you allow a negative thought to rent space in your mind that's saying, you're never going to make it. Oh, you know, you're never going to be as good as them. You're never going to get your name out there like that. All these things, imposter syndrome, and we allow them to eat us up. And so inside of here, it shows you how to eliminate those sabotaging thoughts, how to get rid of them, how to just beeline what you want and be it till you become it, rather than fake it till you make it. Just be it. It's all about scripting, what I was talking about on stage this morning. You write out exactly who you want to be with your new thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So today, I know what I'm thinking, but the version of me in 5 years, the exercise we did on stage this morning, the version of me in 5 years is completely different in her thoughts, in her feelings, and her actions. She thinks a little different. She speaks a little different. She does a little different every day. So today, there's a gap between the version of me I am today and the version I want to be. How do I bridge that gap? I change my thought process, the feelings I feel, and exactly what you so amazingly put. I don't feed the negative thoughts, otherwise they multiply.
Because you're curating your environment. And it's interesting, we do this for our kids.
Yes.
You know, as helicopter parents. I have boys.
Oh my, I have a boy. I'm a boy mom. I'm a boy mom. I love it. You're a boy mom.
Yeah, 2 boys. And, you know, we're so careful about what age do we expose our kids to this, and when can they eat that, and when can they go on this playground equipment, and oh, that kid's being mean to them, and we curate all these different things for them, and we take, and what they watch, right?
Yes.
We do not curate one thing for ourselves. So, you know, we might wake up, you see those people, they turn on the news stations, negative news, negative stuff happening, they're playing that in the background, that's how they wake up.
Yep.
They don't feed their brain the positive content. You know, they're sitting in environments in front of toxic people. Like, we're not providing the self-care for ourselves that will feed into what you're talking about, to even make that a possibility. And I think, you know, we have to start with ourselves first and kind of build out from there.
That is so beautiful. You know what's so interesting about this? We don't realize we're feeding our subconscious mind all the time.
Yep.
What are you listening to? What podcasts are you watching? What books are you reading? What are you doing every day? That is tuning the frequency of who we are.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
We're just watching
and I'm as a behaviorist, what I try to really dial home is the power of intention. We have too many default relationships, right? We talk about it all the time, right? So we become friends of our kids' friend group, right? We become friends because you happen to live next door. And so those are default relationships versus being very specific to say, I want to be friends with you because I can see you're going in the same direction that I'm going.
Yep.
And so I'm choosing with an intention our friendship. We chose each other.
Yes.
Right? And so there's so much of our life that when people talk about, well, my life doesn't feel fulfilling, whatever, I'm like, because everything in your life was a default position. Right?
From parents, from society, the way we've been raised, 100%.
Right.
It's so interesting, the way we've been programmed. So I'm the first one of 5 children, I'm the oldest of 5, to leave the UK, live in a different country, to do a job that is not conventional. My father was a doctor and my mother's a psychologist, amazing, and she actually is very similar to what I do now, but once, do you understand? So she was a housewife until she changed her life. And so the point is, we have a choice and we go to default because it's easier. The brain likes familiarity.
Oh, yes.
And it's so hard to go against familiarity. The brain wants to have something easy because it's easier to do, even if it's more painful. It's easier to do the familiar. To learn a new skill is really difficult for the brain. It's neuroscience. To learn and build a new synaptic connection, to create neural pathways in the brain, it's a lot harder to create a new skill after the age of 25. So we revert back to type every time. Try brushing your teeth with your opposite hand. You'll do it for 1 day, you might do it for 2. You probably won't do it for 21 days, which is what you need to do to form a small habit, because your brain says, oh, it feels awkward. I'll go back to my other hand, even though I know.
So my husband read about that, and he's like, I am going to make it 3 weeks. Like, this is not, so he's been doing it. Actually,
he's actually done it.
He's been practicing it because he says so
oh my
hard.
God, if he can get to 21 days, you won't even believe it. Neuroplasticity is happening until the day we die, even though we have thought in more recent years that it doesn't happen until then. It's now been proven it happens till the day we die, which therefore shows us that we can learn a new skill as hard as it is after 25. And so when you get past that 21-day mark, boom, move on to another habit, because you will find it so much easier to start a new habit.
Right, and that's where you condition yourself, right? You condition your brain for what to expect. And so for myself, I intentionally cause disruption every day.
Yeah.
In every day, I cause disruption, so that when there is natural disruption in my life, I'm already used to it, right? And so I said so much about things have to be intentional, right? When you take a look at the most successful people, it's because they live with intention. I get it all the time, and I get criticism for it. People are like, oh, why aren't you more friendly with your daughter's sports moms and dads?
I get the same thing.
And I'm like, because that isn't where I'm going. That's not the direction where I'm going. Nothing wrong with them. Love you,
this
whatever.
Is why you and I get on.
I have intentional relationships. If I'm going to take my talent, my skill, my genius, my time, I want to invest it in someone who will amplify it, add to it.
Right, which is exactly why you and I are friends, because
100%.
we are sitting here and I'm like, how can I serve this amazing mission? This is exactly what friendship is. It's the 360 back onto.
Right.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And this is your show. How do you?
She's gonna be another freaking frack.
I love it.
You know.
How do both of you disrupt each day? You just said you do it every day, and I'm sure you do. So what is an example of what disruption is for you every day?
So for lots of things. So, but usually my routine. So I don't sit in the same place every day, right? So I rotate. I don't have, so I love my coffee, but I intentionally have my coffee experience. So usually after my morning routine, coffee is kind of where my ending is. And so I usually take that coffee. I live in New York, so like right now it's really cold.
Such a coffee girl.
Right, yeah, coffee, right. So I usually take my coffee somewhere else, because my coffee is where I set my intention. So once I have coffee, the coffee smell is a trigger for me intentionally to trigger intention, right? So the smell is a trigger. So even if I walk around during the day and I smell coffee, it reminds me of my intention.
Oh, wow. Because you've already made that intention.
I always make
in a new place.
And with the coffee, it's the smell.
So the familiar thing is the coffee. The smell's the association in the brain, because I understand
and it triggers intention.
Wow, very
And so
cool.
over my life, I've always used my coffee time is where I set my intention for the day. So now, after all of these years, anytime I smell coffee, it triggers what's your intention.
And what would your intention be?
Well, like for me, for today, my intention, because we're here at this event, so my intention today was to provide from stage something valuable that people could use immediately that would impact their life. And so every time I meet somebody,
beautiful,
my job is to push them into a thought that isn't a natural thought for them.
Wow, disruption. And what about you? I know that this is your show and I'm just basically interviewing you.
No, so my word of this year is heard. And as you can probably notice, she's the more chatty of the two of us. And we're business partners. But for me to grow and to help grow the business, I have to be speaking up. I have to be giving my thoughts, not whispering to her later like, oh, what they really should do, you know. Being willing to get up front and center. And so for me, if somebody calls and says, hey, do you want to speak at this thing? I'm saying no without even thinking about it. That's my automatic response. Hell no. You know, and a few weeks ago, I had a friend call me from South Florida, and she's like, I've got these two events I really want you to speak at. One's April 22nd, one's April 29th. First answer was, yeah, no, I can't do that. I'm like, we're really busy. And she goes, it's Saturday. You can drive there and back. And I'm like, okay, one. I'll do one event. Then I get off the phone, and the next day, and I'm like, Ms. like, we're going to go do all these talking things, and we're going to do all this stuff, and we're going to be on TV. And then I was like, called my friend, and I said, okay, I'll do both of them. But for me, I have to constantly tell myself, because I had a publishing company, I worked with people like you, I helped them write their books, I helped them be front and center, and I was the person behind them. And so I have to constantly disrupt my automatic response, which is no to anything that requires, you know, and in business meetings on the phone, she can run the whole show, obviously, right? So, and a lot of times these are people she knows and I don't. And so I have to jump in.
Putting yourself in a position that helps you to grow, but helps you to get out your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
What a power duo.
And daily, we do it for each other daily. You know, part of, because we have each other's life books, she'll remind me of my should or my should nots. And she'll be like, Amelia, isn't that one of yours? I'm like, yeah.
Oh, right. I have to do this. I'm like,
so you're going to love this. So one of my should nots is I should not be chasing information. I should not be chasing information.
Wow.
So if you or anybody can't provide me all the information that I need, then the answer is no. Because I won't chase the information.
Oh, this is something I literally need. Yeah, well, that's one of mine for sure. Like, I'm just, very true. I'd love to do my shoulds and should nots.
Yes.
I have my own list, which is like, acts of service really is my gig. Like, if you want to be my friend and do something for me, I love my staff, because whether in my household, whether in my team, because they're doing things for me.
That's why I sent you the tea. That's why I sent you the tea.
Oh my God, I know.
I sent you the tea.
We're redoing it, because
I'm going to,
when you send it, I'm going to do a beautiful video, because I love tea, and like I would have remembered that, because that's part of one of my rituals. Like, oh, it's just so perfect. So where acts of service is everything for me. So I really I've fallen out with partners over it. Like, they're like, why are you so angry that I didn't take the trash out? And I'm like, because my love language is acts of service. You know, like you couldn't care about everything else, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's so important, and I think that because we separated from community, right? We're no longer raised in a tribe, and we separated from community. At the same time, we lost the skill set of building relationships, putting in the foundation of understanding that allows a relationship to grow. And I can't tell you how many times we work with partners or in couples, and they don't know any of this. Right? Even though they're trying to live in a relationship, but they're living on the relationship based on strain of I have to figure this out versus getting the understanding. And so part of what we do when we talk about discovering your genius, if you understand that this act of service that you're doing is rooted in my childhood, that has an impact on me, you would do it more, right? So I tell the story all the time about the 2 kisses. So my mother, being very, very traditional Italian, she was seen but not heard, she would tuck 2 kisses in my hand. So that would be her way of saying, like, you could go out there and go do that. So she would just tuck them in my hand. So I know. So now when I go places and people leave me 2 kisses, it is a trigger for me from my childhood to say, yes, you can, right? And so when you start to learn where people are rooted and how to use that root memory as a amplifier for more capacity, more confidence, more strength, then you automatically feel like you know me. Like, I know you love tea. And so me sending you tea, you're like, oh, she remembered.
Oh,
right?
my
Right?
God,
She remembered.
I know.
Right? And
like,
those are the things we miss from relationships. And we always say all the time, you know, men need bromances and women need their girlfriends. And we have fallen away from healthy adult relationships where I am my source for everything. I am my source for financial independence. I am my source of happiness. I am my source for everything that Amilya needs. And I get to share that with you because you're your own source, versus the unhealthy relationship where you become my source of entertainment. You become my source. People don't realize that that's damaging. It's damaging and unhealthy. And so part of what we try to do is teach people what a healthy relationship looks like. Right. And so I love what you're doing out there because you're such an icon for people to not only believe that they can do it, but you're so good in your relationships. People feel healthy around you.
You know, relationships is one of my fortes. People come to me and they're like, whether it's love, whether it's friendship, whether it's connection in business. And they're like, what do you do? Well, I'll tell you the first thing I do. The first thing I do when I meet you, I put you down in my phone. Okay, let's just take Richie Rich, you know, the big designer. I just walked his runway. So I save him under my phone when I first meet him. I was introduced through Larry, a friend of ours, mutual. And I put his name on my phone, Richie Rich. But do you see next to it says New York?
Yes.
I saved the person, who they are, and their location. Now, 3 months later, I fly to New York and I've got 50 people who are already there in the city and I like because they're in my personal cell phone. So I go through the list of New York and I hit up 20 of them and I'm like, let's do a dinner. Let's do something all together, and I connect all these people together, or I go and meet individuals. That's step 1 of relationship.
That's brilliant. That's great. Because you can search just New York.
You can just search. So I go to Atlanta, I have my Atlanta people. I go to San Diego, where we are now, I have my San Diego people, etc. So I work out in advance. I know so I just don't need anybody else for that apart from myself. I just type in one word. If I'm doing an event in a city, I already have 50 people I know who are going to either come speak at the event or they're going to want to come to the event.
So smart.
The next thing I do with relationship is be authentic and stay in touch. And it's very hard in our busy lives to make time for relationships. So what I do is I will send a message. I will just scroll through my phone and see whoever pops into my mind and wait for it. When I feel inspired to text a particular person, I do it. So if I feel inspiration right now to text this particular person, I will do it. If I feel, oh my God, I've got to call this producer right now, boom, I will do it. And there and behold is a show born. Or something I feel inspired to do, there and behold is something born. So I get inspired and then I send a message. And so I send a message to them, authentic about them. Not, hey, how are you? No. You are on my heart and I want to send you some morning affirmations that I personally did this morning to become a luckier person that I think you will love.
Oh, I love that.
And I send it to that person. Maybe I'll send it to 2 or 3 people who will all feel that deeper connection. And then guess what? They say thank you so much, and now I'm adding value to their life. I don't ask for anything. I'm just genuinely sending them something. 2 months later, we go for it again. I message them again, or they message me. And all of a sudden, I'm on stage last week, and Mary Fitzgerald from Selling Sunset says, Natasha Graziano is my mentor. She publicly says it, but yet all we've done is that, you know, this wasn't literally last week. I'm reversing back time about 6 months ago. And when she first said it, and at that point, we'd only done 2 sessions in person as a gift from me. And now we're like best friends. And I coach her all the time. But at that point, I was just adding value to her life. And she then gave back on a stage in front of a lot of people saying, that's my mentor.
I love that.
That's what relationship is.
I love it. So if we're going to close, and there's one thing that you could tell a young girl, right? A younger version of you, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, right? If you could give her the advice or the life skill that you wish somebody would have given you, what would you tell her?
Script out your life. Scripting changed mine. Don't wait for somebody else to dictate. Script your life. Write it. Choose your areas. Love, health, family, and career. And then for each area, get clarity on what you want and write it down. Literally write pages on it. We'll use my name. Natasha became the number one XYZ. She loved being it. Add emotion and feel it when you write it. Lean into those feelings. Use all your 5 senses as you write and feel for every single area. Write it out. Script it out. I wish somebody had told me that younger, because I probably wouldn't have ended up in hundreds of thousands of debt. And as a single mom, I wouldn't have alienated the world. I would have been in a totally different situation. So I feel like the first thing you can do is script your life and stay in control of it and design who you want to be.
I love that.
Amazing.
I love that. Okay, buy the book. And if she's in a city by you, you absolutely got to go hear her speak.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you.